From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
A clearing picture of a tragedy felt across the country this morning. How the New Orleans attack is putting mental stress in the spotlight. And a Bobcat send-off. The Cats are officially in Texas for Monday's championship game. What this means for Montana, plus how the big game is impacting the Frisco economy. All your Bobcat coverage is right here coming up. Good morning and welcome to Montana This Morning on this Friday, January 3rd. I'm Augusta McDonnell here with Miller Robson.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday.
Good morning, everybody.
TGIF.
TGIF, and you're headed out to a very snowy morning. Drive safe. There's also, I was just driving through town. The side streets are icy. The main roads have been treated well, but some of the side streets still really icy.
Absolutely. It's like an ice skating ring in my neighborhood, too. Yeah. So just be careful. So it's a good FYI. Slick roads, also some blowing snow out there to go along with the snow that's falling. You can see winter storm impacting the region all the way through Saturday. We've got winter storm warnings, winter storm watches, and winter weather advisories in effect, and we'll break that down for you as we go along this morning. We've got some snow here in Billings, also around Custer, maybe still a few flurries there in Laurel, just to the north of Columbus as well as we pull back. And this is going to continue to expand as we go along today from west to east, as we have this first push of snow coming through, and then we have maybe even a heftier amount of snow pushing in tonight through tomorrow night. You can see it's a winter wonderland down King Avenue this morning. Please be careful as you're commuting. 14 right now at the airport. Feels like 0. Yeah, that wind chill is brutal out there in spots. Williston with a wind chill of last check 25 below. Wow. Winds out of the northeast at about 12 miles an hour. Temperatures, actual temperatures, single digits over to our east to the teens and 20s right now. Actual temperature in Williston, though, you're sitting at 8. So a very cold start. Winter wonderland, winter weather all the way through Saturday night. Big blast of winter heading our way, and we'll break it down for you coming up.
All right, Miller, thanks for tracking all of that. Lots to come in our forecast, of course. And again, this morning we are getting a clearer picture of the moments surrounding Wednesday morning's deadly attack in New Orleans. Authorities have now clarified that 14 people were killed when a man drove a truck into throngs of people on Bourbon Street. The attacker was also killed after he exchanged gunfire with police. That incident left dozens of people injured, and Bourbon Street reopened yesterday. As CBS's Katie Weiss reports, residents and visitors there say they won't live in fear.
Crowds returned to Bourbon Street Thursday, along with extra police presence.
We're not going to be scared or terrorized. New Orleans is going to keep going like we always do.
Authorities now say the man who rammed a truck through crowds celebrating the new year early Wednesday acted alone.
We're confident at this point that there is no accomplices.
The FBI says Shamsuddin Jabbar rented an electric truck on Monday in Houston, Texas, where he lived, and drove to New Orleans on Tuesday evening. After midnight on the morning of the attack, he placed 2 improvised explosive devices in coolers in the French Quarter. He posted a final online video proclaiming support for ISIS just minutes before he plowed into the crowd on Bourbon Street.
I'm devastated.
CBS spoke with the attacker's brother.
Still find it hard to believe that this is actually happening.
But it did happen, and now 14 families are mourning the loss of lives cut tragically short.
Like 27-year-old mom Nicole Perez.
She worked so hard. She had a lot of dreams.
And 25-year-old Matthew Tenedorio, who worked at the Superdome.
He was just a very loving, everybody's friend kind of person.
Yesterday, the postponed Sugar Bowl was played at the Superdome after a message from President Joe Biden.
The spirit of New Orleans can never be kept down.
And a moment of silence for the victims. Katie Weiss, CBS News, New Orleans.
And crimes of this nature often send a sense of fear into many people. This morning, our Isabel Spartz looks into the mental toll these events can have. She also speaks to one Wyoming woman who was near the scene when this tragedy occurred.
There's nothing quite like New Year's Eve in New Orleans, and it's a day Amy Galley and her family had been looking forward to.
We were on Bourbon Street, hanging out, having fun.
Galley and her husband moved to New Orleans from Green River, Wyoming, less than a year ago.
Everyone was joyful, happy. We saw nobody out of control intoxicated. Everyone was wishing everyone a happy new year.
But that joy quickly turned into horror. Less than 2 hours after Galley left Bourbon Street, around 3 a.m. Wednesday, a man plowed into the crowds, hitting bystanders, killing 14 people, and injuring 35.
It's shocking to think, oh my gosh, we were just there and that we could have been in harm's way.
And unfortunately, that attack wasn't the only tragic event making headlines. In Las Vegas, a Cybertruck exploded in front of Trump Tower, and in New York, a shooting outside of a nightclub left 10 people injured. All of this occurring within 24 hours.
Yesterday was quite the chaotic start to 2025.
Dr. Eric Arzubi is a psychiatrist in Billings and says even though these events happened elsewhere, attacks like this can still take a toll on our mental health.
Now we're bombarded with so much media in terms of not only text, but also video and images. Right, so that makes it feel closer to reality.
Headlines can re-trigger old traumas, and stress from these events can cause shifts in mood, loss in appetite and sleep, and low motivation.
Any sustained change in how somebody is functioning is something to pay attention to.
Arzubi recommends turning off the news when it becomes just too much. Focus on the things that you enjoy and connect with those you love.
Family, friends, keep the connections, nurture the connections. Try to do what you can in order to kind of stave off loneliness and keep social connections, because those in the end are powerful.
Those tips and connections to back home are something Galli and her family are grateful for.
Best thing that we did was like, okay, we can't watch this anymore. We need to start limiting that. But I think reaching out to people was certainly helpful. You know, do what takes care of you, whatever that might be.
In Billings, Isabel Sparts, MTN News.
Isabel, thanks so much. And the Montana State Bobcats are in Frisco, Texas, after a send-off to remember. This is the scene when the team hit the road at noon Thursday with hundreds of fans lining the streets of Bozeman, starting at the campus. The championship game between the Cats and North Dakota State Bison kicks off at 5 o'clock Monday night. The Cats are favored in Vegas by 3.5 points for all the gamblers out there, and North Dakota State is fresh off an upset over rival South Dakota State. Our MTN sports team is there with them en force. Scott Breen and Grace Lawrence take us to the Cats' Texan arrival, as well as a former Bobcats coach who is reflecting on what this game means for Montana.
Welcome back, everybody, to our continuous coverage of Montana State's football road to the national championship game Monday night. Scott Breen along with Grace Lawrence. And Grace, better late than never for the Bobcat football guys.
Most definitely. The team finally arrived Thursday night in the great state of Texas to their team hotel, given the Lone Star greeting and everything.
The team arrived at around 7 p.m. local to their hotel in Frisco. They were greeted with a warm welcome from the NCAA staff, the hotel employees, and parents once they got in. The game's on Monday night, so the next few days will be filled with various activities, practices, and media availability. There's even a player lounge they can use throughout the week with several games, including cornhole, Xbox, Pop-A-Shot, pool, and more. A part of the full Texas experience, and as tradition, the team was given cowboy hats for making the national championship game in the Lone Star State. The players were very excited to sport their new hats, racing to find ones that fit just right so they can rock them all week long in Frisco. And the cowboy from Melstone, Brody Grebe, already came prepared with the hat he wears all season long. Montana State continues tomorrow with their practice at Toyota Stadium, getting acclimated to the venue and the area.
Well, I wish I got a cowboy hat too. That was a full Texas greeting, and cannot believe it. We're only 3 days away from kickoff for this national championship game.
That's right, Monday night. In the meantime, I had a chance to sit right across the street at the stadium yesterday with Montana State's all-time winningest football coach, Rob Ash. What brought you to Frisco?
Well, family. Grandchildren came along, and so we moved to be closer to them.
When you sit down in a stadium like this, does it get your juices flowing again?
Well, I'm still connected in football. So when you watch a game and you see the people talking about whether they should go for it on 4th down or not, and they say, what does the book say? Well, that's our company.
As a former coach, do you look at certain analytic situations that say go for it and think, I never would have gone for that?
Well, absolutely. That's changed a lot. But ironically, we were one of the pioneers of using this company and this service. When I was at Montana State in 2014 and 15, we were one of the first schools in the country to sign up. So we were kind of at the forefront of this on the coach's side.
Still the winningest coach.
Yeah.
When you look back now and you digest it, how does that feel?
Well, we had a lot of success, and that was fun, and I really enjoyed that. I'm very especially happy about it because even though they had some success on the field before I got there, there were some missing pieces. The academic component was absolutely missing completely. You know, I don't know, people have kind of forgotten, but when we got there in 2007, we were the last ranked team in FCS in the country in the academic performance rating, APR. And because of that low ranking, we lost 10% of our scholarships. And so we were working out to dig out of the hole from the very beginning. The first championship was special. You know, we went up there and beat Montana, and Denarius McGee and Cody Kirk and Mike Ryder made the interception at the end of the game. You couldn't script a storybook ending any better than that. I guess the big piece for me was just being able to get the program to the point where it had the respect of everyone on campus, in the community, in the state, as being a high character, high quality program.
So have you done any homework in the last week? Is this Bobcat team built to win this game?
To be honest with you, I have not.
Yeah.
I always track the scores, and I'm very curious to see, hoping they'll win the games, of course, but I really have not done any in-depth scouting.
Coach, thank you for sitting down with us, and certainly enjoy the game this weekend as a fan.
Thank you. I plan to be a true fan, just watching and enjoying the game and hoping the Bobcats pull it out.
We'll certainly keep an eye out for Rob Ash in Monday's championship. For Grace Lawrence, I'm Scott Breen in Frisco, Texas, MTN Sports.
All right. Thank you so much, Scott and Grace. Remember to join us on Sunday night at 9:30 for an inside look at the Bobcats' historic season. Perfection and Redemption. Montana State's Road to Frisco is hosted by Grace Lawrence and our own Scott Breen and Casey Conlin. Again, that premieres this Sunday at 9:30 p.m. on Q2. And of course, that game is at 5 o'clock Monday.